Hello and welcome to another Company of Heroes 3 game. My name is Fancy Josh, and today we've got a game between Adrian Calu as our Warmachect. His opponent today is going to be Oziligath as British. Map today is going to be Samoy. Classic map. Been around a very long time. I believe that this was in Company of Heroes 1, but I'd have to boot it up to be sure. It was definitely in Company of Heroes 2. And yeah, I'm as happy to see it in this game as well. They've made a few changes. For example, you can cross the water along these edges here. Did not used to be able to do that. And I like the setup of having your cutoff point that kind of connects you deep to your opponent's territory, and to a lesser extent the center. But a lot of your resources are on this edge closest to your base, so it's pretty difficult for your opponent to deny you resources in a major way. And that leads to games where both players have plenty of resources and can get to higher techs, and then the fight becomes about the victory points. So, fairly standard build from both players. German going for Pioneer into Grenadier into Heavy Machine Gun, and he has picked up his Terror battle group here, giving him access to this machine gun camouflage. Sometimes I'll see players go for 2 heavy machine guns instead of just 1, and I think it's somewhat driven by this battle group. We'll see what our German wants to do. British players gone for the Air and Sea battle group, which is not a battle group I see very often. Players really favoring the Canadian battle group or the Australian defense battle group. Let's see here what he has in store for us. Might see him go for these commandos. Might go for the Centaur. Curious to see how he wants to play it. First skirmish of the game about to happen between these riflemen, this infantry section, and these grenadiers. Another fight going on. Pioneers sniffing around, finding the Royal Engineers. And heavy machine gun setting up in this house. On this left side, going to lock down this area for a little while at least. Looks like he is going to use that heavy machine gun to capture. It looks like he has gone for a second heavy machine gun. I like this by our German. A lot of players are tempted to just kind of leave their heavy machine guns in buildings or leave them set up somewhere, but our German player is using that squad to capture.
Sector lost. Repeat, sector lost. Rifles reporting.
All quiet for right now. Both players relatively happy with the territory they have, which is exactly even. The machine gun firing from the church on his opponent's infantry section there. Royal Engineer's going to go deep here, pick up that munitions point probably. Infantry section ready to push on this heavy machine gun from the looks of it. Is picking up the recce package. I expect him to fly around this corner and potentially throw a artillery barrage on that church. Royal Engineers finding this Pioneer squad on the right side. Here comes the second Grenadier squad, defending the flank of this heavy machine gun. Heavy machine gun on the top side, stealing away territory, so both players very even still. Looks like a favorable fight for our German player. Long range in heavy cover. Of course, this rifle section, this infantry section is seemingly invincible. Pioneers winning that fight from the house there. I'm curious where both players want to go from here. They want to add on some indirect fire. Do they want to save up for vehicles? And I think our German just answered our question with his scout car. Infantry section in a bad spot here. Going to have to bail out as the grenade comes in through the window. Looks like he is going to toss down a artillery flare on that house. And amazingly sticking around, that's pretty risky. Really good hit from that first artillery shot, making a good connection with the house. Grenadiers may pick up this rifleman. Keep calling them riflemen, but they are in fact an infantry section, and he is going to get it. Pioneers finally giving up the location. Rail engineers capturing away his fuel. Pioneers on the edge here going to get pushed away by these infantry section here. Grenadiers losing this fight. And I have to bail. And overall, looks favorable for our British player here. Scout car, gonna shoo away these rail engineers. Probably not gonna do too much damage. Maybe a squad member or two. Just draining some manpower from his opponent. Nothing wrong with that. Looks like our British player is gonna add on that infantry section he just lost. I do believe he's teched up. Yes, he has. He has his platoon command post. And there is his armored car that I couldn't see right in front of me. It's a dead scout car here. Nice pickup by the armored car. And probably a Panzerschreck here. Panzerfaust, rather. Gonna deal some damage to that armored car. Armored car throwing down a smoke grenade to try and aid its escape. Grenadiers getting aggressive. I don't see any deep German troops here other than that heavy machine gun. Infantry section coming to save the day. Cooldown on this grenadier shot is probably too long to pick up that squad there. He is going to bail. So nice pickup for our British player. German player immediately adding on a Jaeger squad. We'll very likely see him go up to Panzerschrecks with that to deal with that armored car. And he is doing just that.
You have 3 command points at your disposal.
All quiet for the time being. German recapturing his territory alongside his base. British player is going to be controlling all 3 victory points here. So I'm sure he's going to be happy about that. Nicely done going around this heavy machine gun that he knows is there. Expect we'll see that armor car buzz over here and potentially deal with that heavy machine gun. Instead, maybe going for these pioneers here. That's a nice, I like that choice. He knows that these pioneers are very likely alone, and he can get some free damage. Rail engineers have picked up their flamethrower. Sniffing around here. He has gone up to commandos and the commando support. Riflemen being pushed away here. Take back that victory point as well as the one in the middle, using those newly acquired Jaegers. Armored car chasing down the Pioneer, might get it. Might chase him all the way into the base here. Nice pickup there. Sure that our German isn't broken up too badly about it. It's only 120 manpower, 160 manpower. Never quite remember. 125. Rail engineers trying to burn out this house. Gonna get suppressed and pushed away. Should make it okay. Though they do have to run a bit of a gauntlet here. And I believe we just heard some commandos dropped in. Potentially defending that retreat here. So commandos, of course, very effective against infantry in general. Relatively high health. Per squad member, that is, but relatively few members in the squad. Another mark coming out from the armored car. Panzerschreck connecting with that vehicle. Might get another one here. Nice pickup there. That was a little bit bold of him. Not sure he realized that those Jaegers were there.
Take cover, Kinder! Requisition of support elements underway.
Both players losing their light vehicles early. German player is researching support elements, so we are probably going to see some medium tanks out of him in the very near future. Wirbelwind Flak Panzer is very popular these days, so I am expecting that to be the case here.
Commandant, territory sector lost.
And with his opponent's total lack of anti-tank capabilities, I think a Flak Panzer is going to do really well here. Blobbing up a little bit here is our British player, pushing into this middle section. Having on an AT gun now, anticipating that tank from his opponent. And I think in just a couple seconds we're going to see a Wirbelwind enter that build queue there. German player going to recapture his territory on the right side. Victory points still very even. Both players been paying attention to those throughout, sneaking away each other's victory points just a little bit. Second Jaeger squad's been upgraded with the reconnaissance package, giving them significant damage increase. As you can see, he's completely wrecking this infantry squad. Don't think our British player's noticed yet, and he is going to pay for it with this squad, probably. It did call down a flare, but may get picked up on the retreat here. Barely going to make it. It's good for him. Heavy machine gun forced to reposition. German player gonna have to push into this center area that's kind of locked down by our British player. As expected, the Flak Panzer is in the build queue. British player researching infantry training to level up all of his squads, make them more effective in combat. Royal Engineers cooking everybody outside, focusing down the heavy machine gun so that he can move around a little bit. Love to see a grenade potentially, but man, he is having trouble getting in that building, eh? Commando's pushing in, gonna help out here. Spreading all these units, but here comes the Flak Panzer. And we are definitely gonna see our British player have to give up this section eventually. Looks like he's delaying for his AT gun. Here it comes. Setting up, not in range. Looks like the Flak Panzer did get clipped by that strafing run we just saw come in. AT gun gonna get a shot here. Flak Panzer's gonna have to bail. Should live through the second shot, which isn't gonna happen, just barely. The machine gun back in the house, but getting flanked here. And looks like it may have to give up this position if those riflemen can hold their ground a little bit longer. Comes an artillery barrage. The machine gun did reposition to suppress both squads, but is going to have to bail out here. Third Jaeger squad coming out. Don't mind that decision. Jaegers are pretty darn good. Flak Panzer getting repaired up on the side there. And British player going to take away as much territory as he can. Yeah, that's what I like about this map. You know, it feels like both players are pretty equal in terms of resource income over the course of the game. Fairly equal in terms of units lost as well. And it just leads to a ton of fights all over the place, and mostly focused on a few key areas like the victory points. Player's going to capture out this right side. Nice mine left behind by our British player. I did not see that earlier. You know me, I love it when players leave behind mines, sandbags, barbed wire, doesn't matter. Build it and bask in the success. More mines coming out there, that's great. The Flak Panzer is going to catch him doing that. Looks like he's going to finish the capture before actually building the mine. For those of you that don't know, building something while capturing stops the capture from happening. So the good old days of Company of Heroes 2, where you could build and capture at the same time, are gone. AT gun, well positioned in a place where it can retreat but also be active. Facing the wrong way until the last second here. Backing up a little bit, putting some space between him and that Flak Panzer. Commandos covering. So nicely done there. Looks like it's going to be a big push into the middle here. Flak Panzer attacking through the bush. With that attack ground here. AT gun was thinking about doing something similar from the looks of it. British player backing up. German player backing up to heavy cover. British player calling in artillery. Oh, that's not artillery. That is the Hawker strafing run from those commandos, which we saw earlier. All the units fighting from heavy cover here. Anti-tank getting some shots on this Flak Panzer. Going to have to push that all the way back, and I do believe our German's going to have to give up the center here. Well executed push by our British player, using Collins to dislodge his opponent. Let's see another artillery barrage coming out here. He just picked up enough munitions to do so, but content to shoot at this heavy machine gun from cover, and there's the flares. While that's happening, German player capturing territory on the top side, running into an infantry section. Commandos going in close here. Probably don't want to stay there for too long. Both squads retreating at the same moment. Yeah, and I think that's the power of the British Army, right? Is that those call-ins from each and every one of their infantry having that ability. I mean, of course, they have to upgrade to the Recce squad, but just the huge amount of utility to force your opponent to back up. We saw him do it twice, right? He advanced into this section, called in a barrage to dislodge his opponent, advanced again, called in another barrage. It was well-executed push. Looks like the German did win that fight on the top side and was trying to take away the fuel, but not going to get it. Heavy machine gun set up here on this choke point, ready to pick up some unsuspecting infantry. Matilda heavy tank from our British player. This tank has excellent anti-infantry and heavy armor, but is not super great against vehicles. Our German does have a mortar ready to deal with it, and that might be a dead Matilda. It's going to be close. Nice pickup, trying to block its retreat with this Flak Panzer. And that's the risk of moving in your vehicles by themselves. Always want to have infantry support, combined arms, right? Defend your units with your other units. Cover each other's weaknesses. Rail engineers are going to sneak around on the side and pick up the victory point on the left. Despite that heavy machine gun waiting for them, Flak Panzer are going to come have something to say about that.
The enemy has claimed a sector.
British player pushing back out of his base. Commandos sneaking around here, maybe scouting out a little bit. Infantry section getting in close with these grenadiers. And unfortunately for him, they have heavy cover and he does not. Of course, he is protected against the suppression, but backing off. Commandos flanking around. Here comes an artillery barrage to drive away the heavy machine gun. Might destroy the church on this barrage here. Royal Engineers going down to that Flak Panzer. Nice pickup for him. Mates coming out of our German player. And there goes the church. And so that Matilda was a fairly substantial investment by our British player. Good news for him is he does have Tier 3 tech, Tier 4 tech. He does have the option to call in this Centaur 4 because of his battle group here. I don't know how good the Centaur 4 is in a situation like this. It's more of an anti-infantry weapon. See what he wants to do. And he is adding on another Matilda 2 heavy tank there. Feels like he needs the heavy armor. Feels like he doesn't need a whole lot of anti-tank capabilities. I'll see if he's right about that. Black Panzer are going to get healed up here. German player adding on a mortar. I think that's a really good idea. I think mortars on this map are just really, really good. If you're pushed into your own base, they can barrage over the water. If you're pushed deep into the center here, you have barrages that hit pretty much the entire main area here. So I think, and plus the utility they provide with those smoke barrages is just absolutely huge. I think it's a great ad overall. In fact, it did dislodge those commandos from that house. Machine gun waiting here in the fog of war. Can't quite see those Royal Engineers that are just standing on the edge there. Here's the Matilda, combined arms. He has his units for support here. T-gun sniffing around here. Another flare coming out. I think that was a... must have been a... I'm trying to figure out who threw that flare. Looks like it was a German flare, potentially. Granting him vision of this area. Sneaking in with these Jaegers here. Able to get really close there. Is going to capture the center point. Revealing himself now. Tilda picking away at those Jaegers. AT just a little bit too far away here. Almost losing that Jaeger on the retreat. Black Panzer sniffing around here. Going to come up behind this AT gun. AT gun repositioning. Tilda having to back up because of that Marauder. Excuse me, Martyr. ET gun still not going to be able to connect here. Tilda is able to penetrate that armor. Both players just going to back off. Jaegers with the Panzer Shrek coming in now. Look like they are going to get a shot here. Just revealing themselves, though. Tilda's going to heal up here. Mando's going to protect the AT gun on the retreat there. Have a machine gun coming in to support. British player making a push on the top side while this is happening. And a little bit of a stalemate here in the middle. Both players slowly pushing each other out of the center by making little flanking plays through this hedgerow. I'd love to see a mine back here. You know that's going to catch somebody. Panzer Shrek's moving in. Not quite in range here. Getting in range now. Player using the assault flares here. Giving them increased rate of fire and movement speed. Using that to close the distance in the middle here. Tier 3 thinking about getting involved. Black Panzer definitely wants to get involved here. Flare coming out, revealing the area. has a clear understanding of where his opponent's anti-tank is, staying just far enough back. Crusader 2, gonna push away this heavy machine gun. I think this is a great ad for our British player, that high mobility, gonna let him control the edges of the map a little bit better, while his Matilda sits in the middle. Our German player does have about 1.5 million fuel, but he is fielding a huge army here. Sure, he'd love to be able to get out this King Tiger, but he's going to need to build up manpower for at least 2.5 minutes, probably more, as he takes losses. That's why they tell you to never do math on stream. It was, in fact, 3 minutes. Crusader getting involved there. Getting a shot on the Black Panzer. I think that that's a British flare. So he knew that that Martyr 3 was coming in and he had to back up. Nice mine from our British player. Once he takes an area right, he leaves behind souvenirs for his opponent. I think that's really great. Push on the right side by our German player with these anti-infantry Jaegers. Gonna give up the position as soon as the heavy tank shows its face. He really can't afford to be losing manpower here again, because he's saving up for the King Tiger. Whirlwind taking down that, or Whirlwind taking down the Hawker strike from our commandos there, so not able to get its barrage in. I think we'll probably see him control that from the other direction. I'm assuming you can. It's not going to let me see. Typically with airstrikes you can control the direction that they come from. I don't see any reason that wouldn't be the case here. Now this is kind of cool. Using the entrenchment ability by this 6-pounder. And I guess I could see that working, right? His opponent's very likely to come from this direction or from down the street. Second Crusader 2 added on for our British player. Going to give him even more control of this side here. German player hitting some mines on the way in. Martyr 3 moving in to deal with those Crusaders. Crusaders, of course, getting out before they're under threat. Heavy tank sniffing around is going to find this Black Panzer Martyr 3 not in position to help out just yet. Pushing away this heavy machine gun. Here comes the Panzerschrecks bouncing off that front armor. Martyr 3 in jeopardy here as these Crusaders dive. Taking lots of damage, though, from the Panzerschrecks. Gonna bail out. Looks like they're gonna make it out okay, and our British player picking up a ton of vehicles there. That was really important for him. Anti-tank gun moving up. And a very well executed push by our British player there. German player just now is calling in his King Tiger. So we'll see what the King has to say about that situation in the middle. British player adding on a third Crusader 2, so he does have the resources that he needs to deal with this King Tiger. It's German player still wields a substantial army here. His manpower is a little bit hamstrung at this exact moment because of the call-in, but I think a little time won't fix. King Tiger picking its first victim from those commandos there. And this is really nice by our British player, right? He's capitalizing on... He capitalized really well on the damage that he just did. Picking up a ton of territory. Wouldn't mind seeing him swing over to this left side. Looks like he is working his way there. So I think that this German King Tiger is going to be very susceptible to something like a vehicle rush. You know, all these tanks rushing him in combination with that anti-tank loiter. Saw our British player call off his, used to withdraw and refit on one of his Crusaders, was it? Yeah, it was. Oh, maybe he just canceled it, and now he's calling in a 17-pounder, recognizing the threat of this King Tiger. I think that's a great decision. Gonna let him have an answer to this King Tiger in no uncertain terms. You'll see a lot of Allied players in general try to ignore the situation and just use the resources they already have at their disposal, but our British player adding on that 17-pounder, and I think that's a great decision. British player did pick up this left side big hit from the artillery there. Infantry section winning that fight at long range. Throwing out a flare to see what's coming. Mando's trying to push into the middle here. And he is using that assault flare's ability to give him that movement speed and attack speed. Combined arms approach, tanks supported by infantry and AT guns. Crusader 2's getting aggressive as well here. Unfortunately for them, walking right into these Jaegers as well as that King Tiger. Crusader 2 getting a penetration on that side armor. I'm sure he's happy about that. Mortar continuing to barrage away here. 17-pounder is on the field here. Set up on that King Tiger. Of course, he doesn't have vision. King Tiger hiding behind the church there. I think he's going to want to stay right there. Looks like he might want to chase, which would be a poor decision by him. And here comes the 17-pounder shot. Bouncing. Oh, man. All the shells bouncing right off the front of that King Tiger. That is a little bit unlucky for our British player there. Matilda on very low health, but hanging out anyway to support his infantry. 17-pounder doing something. That's for sure. Looks like he's going to move the 17-pounder. British player does have to be careful about the mortar from his German opponent, as this emplacement cannot move without the tow truck there. Crusaders getting aggressive here, going to pick up some grenadiers. Probably not going to get them on the retreat there. Pioneers going deep here, but thinking better of it. Mando's being dropped in to capture that point on the left while all those units are distracted. King Tiger looking to get involved here. Gonna get a double hit on the Crusaders and those infantry there. Might get another shot. Just barely not. British player seeing the position of that King Tiger, moving in a little bit here. Being very careful with that 17-pounder, doesn't want to risk it. Panzerschreck's blasting this Matilda. Rail Engineer's going to push away those. Oh man, nice pickup on those Pioneers there. 17-pounder moving back up. King Tiger coming down. Stop this push from happening. Order getting value here. And this is going to be a little bit tough for our German player to dislodge there. Those commandos are vicious. Pushing in close on these Jaegers. Those Jaegers are going to have to probably get out of there. So a lot of people don't know this, but you don't actually need to get that close with the commandos. I think commandos in particular hit their maximum DPS at 10 range, which is about the length of a squad. This is infantry sections walk 12 wide, so about that distance, a little closer, and you're getting maximum damage out of your close range weapons. That also includes Royal Engineers. I think Royal Engineers are a little bit shorter range. 17-pounder moving up right into the face of this King Tiger. Tow truck bailing out a little bit. Good penetrations by the 17-pounder. Going to get barraged. Smoke grenades coming out to stop that from happening. Crusaders blocking the path of this infantry. Tow truck getting in there under cover of smoke, gonna pull that 17-pounder out of there. Crusaders actually hitting a deep mine from our German player while trying to hunt that Martyr 3, and he is going to lose one of these Crusaders. Not sure where those Panzerschrecks went. Looks like they retreated. Jaegers did manage to capture that top victory point, but trying to move down to save his teammates there. That might have been another mine there. King Tiger bouncing shells here of all flavors. Probably going to get out of there. I can't see this Matilda being able to pick up this Tiger here. Strafing run. Coming in from the commandos up top. King Tiger thinking about chasing, but definitely doesn't want to. Looks like the 17-pounder is going to position closer here. Another barrage, potentially from our British player here. Just delaying his opponent's ability to come out of his base. And looking at our German's army, it is looking really, really rough for him. I think he took a ton of damage in that push there. Numerous squad wipes, including his Panzerschreck Jaegers. And unfortunately for him, he does not have a lot of time to work with here because the British player has got him down on the ropes with 60 victory points there. Big hit on those on those infantry section. 17-pounder did get a good connection on that King Tiger backing up, of course, but nowhere to run. Engineers getting picked up there by those commandos. Another deep mine by our German, but that's going to be the end of the game there. It was, I mean, these numbers tell a story there, right? I think in the mid-game, our British player did a much better job of controlling victory points, continued to annoy his opponent on the edges of the map. And despite those early tank losses, early vehicle losses, both players bounced back. And, you know, it just came down to that end game where a British player had all the tools he needed, and he wiped out the Germans' army in a big way. Hope you guys enjoyed this game as much as I did, and I will see you in the next one.